Hey everybody, it's Jamie at One More for the Good Guys. I want to talk to you about our next step in our basic podcast recording and mixing tutorial. In the last episode, I used a little plug-in here from Waves called Clarity VX to eliminate the ambient noise, or at least turn it way, way down, because we don't have great mic isolation and we're having a conversation. And a little bleed over is okay. You just don't want to get a delay or it creates too much reverb in the room if other mics start listening. So we've eliminated that, and I've set our three vocals here with the individual gain on the wave file, and I've just eyeballed it to make them close. Okay, that's all. Don't peek them out to where you're into this. Just eyeball it. All right. So let's take a listen.
Wrestling analogies, and I've always said,
Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
yeah,
All right, so like the lead.
Okay, those
character
are
in The
pretty well
Sopranos,
matched so far.
Tony Soprano.
All right, let's listen to my.
The inspectors come.
Okay, I'm a little hot, so I'm going to bring that down.
And they take the dogs.
Check out YouTube clips of all that. It was
I
so
loved how
funny.
Harvey Korman.
Okay, so there we are. Just Clarity VX and a high pass filter. Now let's talk about one of my favorite plugins of all time. It's also a Waves plugin. It's called Renaissance Vocals. This has a gate, has a compressor that sort of works like an expander too. I love this preset Ball Game Sportscast, so I'm going to use that. But basically all that does is just put these faders in a particular place. I got the gain set at 0. I'm going to pull this down, and we're going to listen to Brandon's vocal here.
What's on my thumb? I can't play with my fingers.
Now I'm going to turn this on.
Make it look easy. Everybody does that. It looks so cool, but I don't know if it's where I've been a guitar player for so long and I'm used to having a pickup.
All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking my dynamic range, I'm reducing my dynamic range, and I'm turning the volume up. If you've ever listened to something on the radio, and this will not be the case with most music, especially modern music, because it's compressed to hell and back, and it's got a dynamic range of very little. But if you listen to podcasts, any kind of spoken word, like Rogan, I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes, #1 podcast in the world. I have to gain ride the volume knob on the radio because some of his guests are too soft. I don't want to do that. So this will almost eliminate that. Now, fortunately, Brandon's a musician and he knows how to use a microphone, but let's just use this as an example. So without the compressor,
My thumb,
I'm hitting down here about
but I've worn me a pretty good blister.
minus
doing some bass lines,
15,
so,
minus 18.
and it's caused me.
I want to get that up to around -6. Okay, it's going to give me 6 dB of headroom here to where I can put compression and a limiter on the whole mix later on. But let's take a listen.
I don't know, like playing bass on a song makes
Okay.
me hear the song completely different.
It really does.
Less compression means no effect.
You get
Okay.
more into the melodic side of it, and I have to say, just in the last couple of months doing that, I've kind of learned my scales and my notes better than I realized I knew them. You know what I mean? Because you have to be aware of it.
Okay, so that brought Brandon up to about -6. And I am going to just use blankets. I'm going to copy these settings. You can do this in Logic, you can do it in Pro Tools, you can do it in FL Studio, you can do it in everything. So now I have all three of us with the same exact setting. Now that's probably not going to work, but let's take a listen.
On and like the sports stuff, and then a few other channels, and for whatever reason I got on this thing of like basically it was Tim Conway's best hits for like Carol Burnett.
I'm 3 years old, and my daughter says he'll sit on the floor and just watch Andy Griffith and just yes.
He tormented him, and there was the one.
Okay, I'm doing all this by ear. Okay, mic's a little hotter. Could be that I have the waveform a little hot.
One that was so fucking funny.
But back and forth.
If I was just whatever, I just played to the audience in front of me.
We've started doing.
Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's take a look at mine and my big mouth.
Because Barney's worked up. He's like, oh, the inspector sees these dogs here. We're gonna.
Okay.
So he takes them out and put.
Now there's a couple of reasons my mic is hotter. One, I'm talking less, and I'm also doing the recording, so I'm staying right on top of the microphone. Okay, just like I am now. So
Puts them out in the field.
Mine's a
somewhere
little
and comes
hot.
back, and it's one of the few times on the Andy Griffith show where it rained in the show. So,
okay,
and
so let's go back here.
Tim Conway's.
and Opie brings all those dogs into the.
Oh God, it's great.
And so
Now I have everything in faders at 0 across the board. Different WAV files, different mics. Don't have to touch it. Okay, I'm just going to play it for just a second and prove my point.
So,
There's
and,
Mike.
and we don't have to get into the top 7 or whatever. Just say what you want to say.
All right.
But top 7 favorite wrestlers.
Oh God. All right.
No Mount Rushmore shit.
Mount top
just
7.
it's who you like. You know what I'm
Or raised, he's like,
with,
Jesus was a carpenter. He's like
Andy
me.
Griffith plays his dad.
Andy Griffith
Yeah.
plays his dad. John Prine plays his
Prime's
brother.
in it.
And Jim Barney plays his uncle.
That's old better than the later.
Using compression, don't have to touch it again. We will bring all that together in a later episode, but that's how I get the 3 vocals to mesh together by using a Renaissance vocal compressor plug-in. You can do that with any compressor, but that one's super nice and very easy to use and very inexpensive. Until next time, this is Jamie at One More for the Good Guys.